So all of this is great. This is what's happening with platforms across different industries. This is how platforms are changing the way incumbents work. But there's a dark side to the platform revolution as well. And that is, the reason for the dark side is because what we've created, the beast that we've created in the platform revolution, is we've created these large companies that benefit from open architecture, from decentralized production, but they continue to also benefit from centralized governance. As a result of which, what happens is the central platform shifts the risk of owning the resources and providing the services to the edges of the ecosystem, but amasses all of the profit centrally. This is what happens in the case of any platform today. If you think of Uber, Airbnb, a lot of the risk gets moved to the corner and the profits get moved to the center. As a result of this, what happens is platforms may often create conflict of interest, where they may start out in a manner where they invite the whole ecosystem and they start encouraging the ecosystem to interact with each other. And as they start seeing the data of the actual interactions, the platform owner themselves may start participating in the ecosystem. We've seen this happen with Amazon, where Amazon continuously analyzes the way merchants are performing on the platform, and if there are specific products that are selling really well, which Amazon does not sell today, but which work very well with Amazon's Prime program, Amazon tries to get into production and acquires production facilities for those products as well, and organically pushes the merchant out. So that's an example of a dark pattern where Amazon benefits from the open architecture, open production, moving the risks out to the partner, but then there's a conflict of interest when they come in and start competing with these merchants. Platforms also bait and switch. They may start out with certain kinds of policies, partners may come on board, and they may start building their businesses on the basis of these policies, and one fine day the platform may change these policies completely. This has happened repeatedly with developer ecosystems, in the case of Facebook, Apple, several other companies, where developers built entire businesses on these platforms and then the platform switched its policies. So again, that's an important thing to watch out for when you don't end up becoming the central platform and you don't have a choice but to participate on somebody else's platform. The third thing that happens is that platforms also start engaging in predatory practices, which is typically what you would think of as monopsony, which is that just like you have monopolistic power on the consumer side, you have monopolistic power on the supplier side, where you can squeeze the suppliers, because you become the central choke point, the central control point that controls access to the market. You can start squeezing the suppliers and start creating predatory business practices. Finally, and we were talking about this over lunch today, finally platforms are leading to more inequality when they actually should have led to more equality. And that happens because platforms have these feedback loops, where when a few participants come on the platform and gain some reputation, the feedback loop starts working in their favor so that the rich keep getting richer. This has always worked in markets, it's worked in markets in general, but what platforms do is they make this feedback loop spin even faster. And that, essentially, what that leads to is a few participants on the platform become super successful and the others never get anywhere. So today we see this in a more innocent fashion on things like Instagram and Snapchat, where you have a few people with a lot of followers and most people do not have any followers. But this becomes a bigger problem when you start applying this to B2B scenarios, when you start thinking of, say, a clinical trial platform in a healthcare ecosystem where pharmaceutical companies would be sourcing clinical trials from these test centers. And if one test center gains a huge reputation, it starts benefiting from a lot of business, whereas the other test centers may never get off the ground in the first place. So it becomes really important in a B2B ecosystem to ensure that you do not have these feedback loops running unchecked, and you do not have a few superstars emerging while the others do not get any business.